Taiju Shiba is a powerful and brutal individual that was regarded as one of the strongest gang leaders in Tokyo Revengers. But how did Taiju become the absolute ruler of the Black Dragons? Well, today we're covering the brutal story of Taiju Shiba. Taiju is the oldest of 3 siblings who lost their mother to an illness at a young age, leaving Taiju with the responsibility of raising them. However, this would mark the start of Taiju's domestic violence. He yelled at his siblings over the smallest things, such as a light being left on. Taiju tried to raise them in his own way, but he resorted to violence. Despite his abusive tendencies, he genuinely cared about his siblings, in a way. Since childhood, Taiju was always a natural leader that had a charismatic aura. His followers followed him not only out of fear, but out of respect. In his 3rd year of middle school, Taiju was scouted by Koko and Inui, the temporary president of the Black Dragons. Inui was released from reform school, and after hearing about the 9th generation Black Dragon defeat, he was determined to revive the gang. Koko told Inui about a monster at his school named Taiju, and Inui confronted him, only for Taiju to show him the shocking difference in strength between them. Taiju gave Inui his first loss in a one-on-one fight. Thus, Taiju became the 10th generation leader, vowing to reform the gang. This generation of Black Dragon was nothing like its predecessors. Taiju was a strict leader who trained them to act like an army. He even created new uniforms by selling their military strength to the wealthy. Under Taiju's leadership, the gang became known as the most powerful and feared organization in Kanto. But if you want to be a part of my organization, then make sure to like and subscribe to see more content like this. After the Valhalla arc, Takemichi returned to the present where he learned that Hakai had seemingly killed his older brother, Taiju, becoming the 11th generation leader. In order to prevent this timeline, Takemichi goes back to the past. He couldn't believe that Hakai would actually kill Taiju. Determined to uncover the truth, he approached Hakai in a bowling alley, and following their introductions, Hakai invited him to his house. On the way there, Takemichi starts to see how nice Hakai really is, and he wonders if he's the same guy who kills Taiju in the future. As they approach Hakai's house, they're stopped by the Black Dragons. One important thing Hakai failed to mention is that his house is in Black Dragon territory. Furthermore, Koko and Inui were instructed by Taiju to kill any gang that walked into their turf. So Takemichi being a Toman captain wasn't a good look. Hakai was forced to defend Takemichi and he told him to escape. However, Taiju makes a dramatic appearance tackling Takemichi. The Black Dragons get in immediate formation, showing Taiju's iron rule. Taiju was annoyed that Hakai brought a rival gang member into their family's home, despite not wanting to join the Black Dragons. He orders Hakai to kill Takemichi, but Hakai pleads that he didn't know it was their territory. After bringing up their family bonds, Yuzuha stands up for Hakai, but Taiju punishes her for it, even blaming his actions on her. He tells Yuzuha that he'll teach her a lesson later, implying that he still abuses his siblings. Takemichi defends Yuzuha, but it leads to Taiju uncontrollably beating Takemichi. In order to stop him, Hakai says he'll quit Toman and join the Black Dragons instead. We're already off to a bad start, since Hakai is joining the gang he leads in the future, but there was nothing Takemichi could do. The Black Dragons have an unbreakable connection with Toman. 2 years ago, Kazutora clashed with the 9th generation Black Dragons, being led by Shion Madarame. Tokyo Manji gang was formed to help him. They fought and destroyed the Black Dragons, becoming a well-known gang overnight. 2 days later, Toman has a meeting to discuss the Black Dragons, and Mitsuya decides to speak to Taiju. During their meeting, Taiju accuses Mitsuya of being the manipulator that prevented Hakai from joining the Black Dragons all this time. But more importantly, Mitsuya offers to give up Hakai in exchange for Yuzuha's freedom. He says that Hakai's been protecting Yuzuha from Taiju's domestic violence, and his reason for leaving Toman is to protect her. In the end, Taiju accepted his terms and he vowed to never hit Yuzuha again. After the meeting, Hakai finds Takemichi and tells him about Taiju's true character. Hakai believes that Taiju will never truly let Yuzuha go. Although he's afraid of Taiju, he decides to use violence to protect his family, by killing him. For this reason, Takemichi seeks help in defeating the Black Dragons, but the only person to offer a helping hand is Kisaki. They devise a plan to ambush Taiju on Christmas, the one day he's alone, which happens to be the same day Hakai is making his move. Meanwhile, Mitsuya tells Yuzuha about the meeting, and Yuzuha says she's been relieved of her position as a Black Dragon debt collector. She was in charge of collecting the money from Taiju's deals. On Christmas Day, Taiju was unaware of the attack and he walked into the church, finding both Takemichi and Hakai inside. Takemichi tries to defeat Taiju, but he realizes that Taiju is in a league of his own. While he's distracted, Yuzuha ambushes Taiju, stabbing him. However, Takemichi's reaction inadvertently saved him, and Taiju's future murderer is revealed to be Yuzuha. Despite the arrival of Chifuyu and Mitsuya, Taiju had no issues fighting multiple enemies, even after being stabbed. The situation seemed hopeless, and Hakai made a desperate attempt to stab Taiju, but Takemichi stopped him. Furthermore, Takemichi challenges Taiju again until he makes him take a knee. Inspired by Takemichi's resolve, Hakai reveals the truth about the Shiba household. Yuzuha was the one protecting Hakai from Taiju's abuse all this time. She promised her mother that she'd protect her family, and she kept her word. Takemichi convinces Hakai to stand up to Taiju in order to save Yuzuha, and with Mikey and Draken's timely arrival, the Black Dragons are defeated. All it took to defeat Taiju was a single kick from Mikey. Ultimately, Taiju accepted his defeat and the fact that he can no longer control the life of his siblings. A few days later, during a festival, Yuzuha tells Hakai about Taiju's final goodbye. He left to go on his own, but before that, he told Yuzuha that in a way, he was thankful to Takemichi for changing Hakai, something he couldn't do, and he accepts that violence isn't everything. Then, in the Tenjiku arc, Takemichi returned to the present again. He was searching for the old members of the Black Dragons, and after going to the church where the Christmas showdown took place, he found Taiju, who was now 29 years old. Takemichi wanted to know about Izana, and Taiju agreed to exchange information. He took them to his restaurant that was filled with sharks. There, he explained the history of the Black Dragons, until they were interrupted by Koko and Inui. Taiju confronts them and he stays behind to help Takemichi escape. It was his way of repaying his debt. Even after 13 years, Taiju was still a powerful fighter, but he wasn't the same person. In fact, he asked Takemichi to clear Hakai's regrets, showing that he cared about his brother. Before we get into the final arc, this is your warning if you want to avoid spoilers. During the battle between the Kanto Manji gang and the new Tokyo Manji gang, Taiju makes another surprise appearance. But this time, he saves Takemichi. Mitsuya recruited Taiju because they needed all the help they could get against Mikey. Taiju's reason for joining was to see the battle between Takemichi and Mikey, who defeated him. The shocking part is the fact that he was now the 6th Division captain. As Taiju wreaks havoc on the battlefield, he's challenged by the legendary duo, Benkei and Waka. Takemichi sees Taiju struggling and he wants to help him, but Taiju says he's got it, encouraging Takemichi to save Mikey instead. The duo plans to use their deadly combo, Downhill Rush. However, Taiju stops their attack and plunges them to the ground. Afterwards, he looks at Takemichi and says that it's his turn to beat Mikey. As Taiju watches Takemichi's exchange with Mikey, Sanzu stands back up and attacks Taiju from behind. Just when the tide seemed to be turning in Mikey's favor, Mitsuya lets out a scream that encourages Toman to keep fighting. All the Toman captains then get back up, with Hakai helping Taiju stand and raise the Toman flag, a moment that signified just how much Taiju's changed since the Black Dragon arc. Taiju wanted Hakai to be strong, but he had the wrong ideology. Takemichi opened his eyes and helped Taiju find another path. He helped Takemichi on 2 occasions. First, when he gave Takemichi information and helped him escape. Second, when Taiju joined Toman and fought for Takemichi in the latest arc. I don't like power scaling, but I have to talk about Taiju's strength. He's the only person who knocked out Mikey with brute force, and he stood up after taking Mikey's kick. He's undoubtedly one of the strongest characters in the series. As for Taiju's future, I don't think he can help Takemichi more than he already has. If anything, we'll see Taiju again after Takemichi's inevitable return to the present at the end of the Kanto Manji arc. Hopefully then we'll learn more about his restaurant and what he did all those years in between. But that's going to be it for Taiju. If you want to see more Tokyo Revengers content like this, then make sure to like and subscribe as it greatly supports my channel. Also, let me know your thoughts on Taiju and who you'd like to see next. With that being said, I'm Traffy and I'll see you in the next one.